All right, and that did it. Thanks for bringing us in.
Good. Listen, always a pleasure to have a musician around, right? It's a good way to pass the time.
Welcome everyone to Nosh Schmooze, and today we're here with my uber talented guest, Steph Taylor. And as always, if you have questions for Steph, you can put them in the comment section in Facebook, and I will be happy to field them to her. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Steph. Steph Taylor, a Miami native, is a musician who wears many hats and plays many instruments. After honing her piano skills at Berklee College of Music, she spent more than 10 years on tour, first as a solo act and then with her band, The State Of. In addition to performing on stage with her own band, she has also shared the stage with musicians ranging from Iggy Pop, The Stooges, to Jane Wildland, The Go-Go's, to Miami's own Las Nubes. After moving back home to South Florida, she began teaching music to kids, and in 2015, co-founded the nonprofit organization Miami Girls Rock Camp. A true labor of love, Miami Girls Rock Camp uses music and performance to promote self-esteem, community, and creative expression for girls and non-binary youth in Miami. When not creating, playing, or teaching music, Steph loves snuggling with her dogs, hiking, playing, or teaching music, or hiking Florida's flatlands, and inventing new ways to make the potato latke. So that's a lot about Steph. So Steph, tell me, why do girls rock so hard?
Wow. Well, I think everybody really rocks so hard, but I think it's important to point out girls rock because there's been so much history of invisibility for women in all aspects of life. And the same goes for many of the musicians who've paved the way. And there is something that's really important about preserving the history of how women have contributed to the world and to the music world, particularly in this case. And it's also important to teach our youth to take up space and to value themselves and to learn how to tell their stories, whether it be through some kind of creative expression, music, or whether it's writing or dancing, or really anything that their hearts desire. And girls rock for that reason.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So what inspired you to first rocking out?
Wow. Well, I was so fortunate to grow up with a music loving family. Music was always around. Instruments were always within arm's reach for me, particularly guitar and piano. And I grew up listening to the Beatles and sort of that being the starting point for all of the other kinds of music that I've discovered throughout my life. As a teenager, I really feel like the artists and musicians that I was listening to played a huge role in shaping my moral values, my belief system, as well as the music that was brought to me through United Synagogue Youth that I was a part of with you back in the day. It's just always been an uplifting aspect of my life, and I see how it brings people together and how important it is for healing, for our brains, for so many aspects of being human. Music is a connection that we really need. And I think that I was lucky enough to find that and to relate to that and realize how important it was to me very early on.
And we're so grateful that you did.
Me too. Wow. Like lucky me. I get to do what I love and share it with our youth. It's beautiful.
And on that note, I think there's probably folks watching that have never been exposed to Miami Girls Rock Camp. And I know that you prepared a little video to show us kind of behind the scenes.
Yes.
Like to be there. So
yes, I would love for you guys to check this out, and hopefully you get a sense of just the power that comes with bringing this particular group of people together. We've been doing this for 6 years. This is our 7th year. Oh my goodness, this is our 7th year now. And so what you're gonna see right now is just a compilation of a bunch of behind the scenes footage of stuff that happens at Rock Camp. So I'll sort of narrate along the way to kind of keep you in check of what's going on. This is a video that we made right before we launched our virtual Rock Camp platform, which is what we did for this particular summer. Obviously, because of COVID, we couldn't all be together, but we did it digitally, and this was our intro to doing that. So here we go.
Hey, everything's gonna be okay. The rockets can save the day. Everything's gonna be okay. Hey, 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 hey. Everything's gonna be okay. The rockets can save the day. Everything's gonna be okay. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, so I want you guys to sing with me. We can make it better. We're stronger together. We can make it better. We're stronger together. We can make it better. We're stronger together. We can make it better. We're stronger together.
So as you can probably see from some of these videos, we have a bunch of campers that we put together in bands, and we give them musical instrument instruction throughout the week, and they write a song, an original song on their own that they eventually perform for a live crowd at a real music venue in Miami. But in addition to that, they also take workshops in things such as screen printing, empowerment workshops. We do a lot of social justice work. And we break out into random drum circles sometimes, as you can see here. There's a lot of fun and wild energy that comes out of not only the campers, but the volunteers as well. This is a completely volunteer-run operation, and it really is a labor of love for each and every one of us that participate. And what we've sort of found throughout the years is that the volunteers get as much out of it as the campers do. Here's some of our older campers having a beautiful moment. Takes over. And so Bohemian Rhapsody in particular seems to keep showing up throughout the years. And certainly it's also beautiful to see how that traverses generations, particular bands, and you know what they were about.
You got it.
These girls are so brave. Some of the stuff that they
do. Incredible that they have such a community behind them.
There's certainly no shortage of dance parties that happen here as well. We do this every Friday on the last day of camp. We bring in local DJs, and it is just pure joy. It really is. There's a quote that we really think about a lot when we bring everyone together, and that quote is that joy is a revolutionary force. And there's no better time, more so than now, for everybody, not just girls, but everybody, to really practice that and examine that and what that means in the context of themselves and the world around them. We also bring in visiting bands who come and perform for them. A lot of these people in these bands are volunteers for the camp.
It's a mindset to wear now. It's a mindset to wear now. All good things about to come my way. About to come my way. I'm about to get paid. All good things.
And we have no limits on the style music that we bring to the table as well. They'll hear anything from heavy metal to hip hop to pop music, rock, and surf rock, anything in between. There's such a diverse group of volunteers that are both musicians, but not even musicians. We've got teachers and activists and all kinds of folk who really feel like they have something to give and to bring to the table, and definitely want to pay it forward and just create a space for just uninhibited good times. And that is what we hope to achieve at Rock Camp, and it doesn't really take much effort. It like happens so naturally. It's really quite beautiful. So here you can see that we've got the kids in their instrument instruction. We're teaching them how to headbang, because that's how we do at Rock Camp. And now we've got some of our bass players in a bass lesson.
Keep going, shake it off. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All of our drummers always start out on pads, but then we move them to these huge drum kits. And in some cases, these kits are much bigger than the kids themselves. And it's just incredible, the energy that they harness and the power that they bring to the table. Oh, here's me.
And this is our song.
So eventually they get into band rehearsals, and we start rehearsing like nonstop until these kids feel really good and confident on stage and ready to just perform their songs for a crowd of people ready and willing to just cheer them on. Some of these songs get stuck in my head for a really long time. I can't get them out. They're just so catchy, and it's incredible to see the topics that they write about, the things that matter to them, that they bring out in their music, especially when they have a safe space to do so. And certainly this takes us to the final component of Rock Camp, which is the live performance. We have our own theme song, so you're hearing these kids sing along to the Rock Camp theme song. And many of these campers are playing music for the very first time. We meet them at every level that they come to us at, and we just really, they already have the magic inside of them. It's not like we're giving them the power. They have it there. We're just like growing that power. And that's really what Miami Girls Rock Camp is all about, is growing the power inside of you that's already there, because we are such resilient, beautiful, amazing, capable people.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Steph. I want to go to Miami Girls Rock Camp. How do
Well, guess what? You can. We actually, a couple of years ago, launched the program for adults. So we did a version of this that was geared towards anybody over the age of 18. We had people in their 50s and 60s participating in our camp, and anything, you know, we don't turn anybody away, basically. I mean, we really it's important for us to have inclusivity, which is why we, we reach out to gender non-conforming youth, people who don't exist on the binary. If there's any trans youth that want to come to our camp and feel like they have safe space, like, and that are welcome and accepted, like our camp is really all about that kind of inclusivity and creating this space and this moment in people's lives that in many cases transforms their lives. Really.
It's incredible. I'm curious if you have a specific story, inspiring story from a camper that you can share.
Well, I guess one thing I can say is, like, every year there's always those few campers that are new to camp and they show up on the first day and they're very closed off, their body language, everything that you read of a shy person. And what's really incredible to be witness to, and it happens every single year, is seeing these campers just in 1 week, because camp is 1 week long, that's it, in the summer, to see them go from like closed off and insecure and not knowing anybody, and by the last day, their body language is different, their hair is different, they put like color in it, and they're like rocking out with their friends. And it's a beautiful transformation that happens just so quickly. And it just blows my mind every time. It's like, it's just something I really wish existed when I was little like them, because I really, you know, I've had to in my adult life, and I'm sure many people can probably relate to this. You have to unlearn a lot of things that you learn in your life. And particularly for women, a great example of that is this whole idea that we over apologize for ourselves and minimize ourselves in different scenarios and situations, whether that be the workplace or wherever. And in our camp, when girls like are learning something and let's say they make a mistake on their instrument, they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And that's like a very common response. And we have taught them that instead of saying, "I'm sorry," like if they hear you say you're sorry and it's not a valid sorry, they come back at you with "you rock." And eventually we have all, even the volunteers, because it's even worse for us, we've spent our entire adult life apologizing for ourselves. It's a really great tool for all of us to lift each other up and hold each other accountable for not minimizing ourselves, especially when we're among each other. It's a great space to practice that. And hopefully for those of you who are watching, you can take that on into your own lives and incorporate that. Sometimes I'll even say it to strangers, like, "You rock," if I hear them say they're sorry, and they're like, "What?" Like, "Don't worry about it, you rock."
That's amazing. You've created like a whole culture around this.
Definitely.
That these kids are going to take with them for their whole life.
Certainly. And the idea is that not only do they take it with them in their whole lives, but that they bring this into their communities, you know, whether it's their schools or their temples or their churches or wherever, you know, wherever they interact with other kids their age. It's a really great set of tools that we try to give them to be leaders and good examples of how to, you know, navigate this life.
And I imagine that this is just as impactful for your volunteers and, you know, your coaches and folks that are helping these kids along.
It really is. I mean, we've had volunteers have big revelations, make huge transformations, heal from really tragic things in their lives in camp. Sometimes you have a child and their counselor discovering that they both lost their brother, and you know, they have a really beautiful cry love session about it where they can relate, and these kinds of things happen all the time. It's almost like, you know, there's not really a separation. There is obviously a separation between the adults and the children, like we're keeping the peace. But at the same time, we're all meeting each other in the same level, that really evens the playing field and just kind of lets everybody feel heard and their feelings and their expressions, you know, warranted and desired. Like, we want to know what you're going through. We want to be there for you.
Yeah. So, you know, for those of us that are not adults, what is the age range for campers?
Sure. Campers are from the ages of 8 to 17. And then volunteers start at the age of 18 through whatever. It doesn't really matter. We've had grandmas and grandmas volunteering during camp hours, and mothers and teachers, scholars, activists, artists, all of the above.
Amazing. And when does camp start?
Well, camp is usually at the end of July. It's been that way since the beginning of time. And we did our Adult Rock Camp in October of 2019. 2020, we were so focused on keeping a virtual, like a robust virtual program for the young campers that we skipped doing the adult version. But our hope is that for 2021 or 2022, when it's safe for everybody to be back in a space together, that we can bring that back again.
Did you find that because you were forced to switch to a virtual platform that you were attracting folks from like outside of Miami at all?
Well, one thing we definitely did differently, we had a lot of the same, the same community of campers down here. So we didn't have campers from other places, but we had volunteers from all over. And in fact, we usually do like local visiting artists and bands and stuff, but this year we decided to expand beyond that. So like Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's came and talked to our campers one day, and she was in Hawaii. We had people in New York and people in LA and just all over the place contributing to our camp and making it really successful. It was actually sometimes it's interesting when life throws you such a curveball that you just are forced to have to think outside the box. And sometimes that creates some of like the greatest work. And in the case of Rock Camp this year, I was really proud of what we were able to accomplish and what we were able to do, and the amazing content that we had in our workshops, and we had dance parties every day and all kinds of stuff. It was fantastic. So yeah, it definitely had a larger reach in terms of our volunteers, but not as much our campers.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, I know, you're also in a band, the State
Yeah. Yes.
and y'all rock.
Thank you. You've seen us a few times, I know.
Have you done any like virtual concerts or anything like that?
No, we really haven't. I think that like this feels for us, we're both on the same page, which is nice. It kind of feels like an incubation period, I think that for many artists, we all handle how we're dealing with this time differently. Some folks are online and really doing it and playing and this and that, and we're sort of we're in creation mode right now. And I think that's also a beautiful place to be, an important part of the process. And I'm perfectly okay with that. It's sad. I miss playing live shows. I miss that energy that comes along with that. But I also feel pretty hopeful seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with regards to the fact that, that'll happen again. And God willing, I have a much longer life to live where I could continue to do that and share that with people. But for now, I'm keeping it all for myself.
But the tools you've already given away to all of your campers, in previous years, I imagine that this has been really helpful for them in their incubation period to have those tools to express themselves.
I would certainly hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
So just so you know, I posted in the comments here the link to MiamiGirlsRockCamp.org. So if folks want to get involved, if they're not necessarily musicians, is there another way for them to get involved with Miami Girls Rock Camp?
Absolutely. There's a lot of ways to get involved. I mean, as far as our volunteer base is concerned, I think that is a pretty common misconception. People think, oh, well, I'm not a musician, I don't play music, so I can't volunteer for your camp. Well, quite the opposite. We actually have counselors that, stay with their band for the entire day and take them through each activity. We have workshop leaders who come and bring their knowledge to our campers. We have yoga instructors and dance instructors that come every day and do 30 minutes of movement and decompression. We also have a food team that uses locally sourced ingredients, all organic from local farmers markets who we partner with, and they prepare all vegan, delicious food every day for all of the volunteers. So there's a food team if you're like really comfortable and excited in the kitchen, and they have a lot of fun in there. I don't know what goes on back there, but every time I walk in to get some water or something, they're just like having the greatest time. And certainly another way to get involved with camp, if certainly you don't have the time, is we are community, we rely on like community donations and stuff like that to help fund our camp. We do several fundraisers throughout the year. And it is really with private donations that helps us stay afloat. And we really are so fortunate to have a community that really believes in the work that we're doing. We've partnered with local businesses who have given percentages of sales on a certain item towards Rock Camp and themed that item towards, you know, Girls Who Rock and stuff like that. And it's really been a beautiful thing to witness how people really come together to support it in whatever way that they can.
And I know you mentioned that the campers at the end of camp, they perform at like a local venue.
Yeah.
Where have they performed in the past?
Yeah, well, we've done it a couple years at the Fillmore in Miami Beach. Not in the main space. They have another space in the back. And we've done it there for a couple years. The first year, there's a venue in Miami called Grand Central, which is no longer, which is sad because I loved that venue and seeing live music there. But that's where we started. Then we moved to the Fillmore. And then after the Fillmore, we moved to Club Space, has a live music venue there in downtown. And so that's where we did it the last 2 years of camp.
And that'll be the last time they're in Club Space until they're like 21.
We were laughing about it. We're like, we can't believe we're bringing 8-year-olds to this place. But the reality is that, you know, it was a very professional operation. I mean, you know, it's a pretty cool gig to have for a musician to play there, the way that they've redone it. So it's impressive. Yeah,
I'm sure it is. I can't imagine being an 8-year-old playing on the stage of the Fillmore or Space. And like for me, I'd feel like, yeah, I can do anything now.
Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, it seems like that's a lot of the attitude that a lot of these campers take on once they've kind of been thrown into the deep end of the pool in some cases with rock camp, because like I was saying earlier, many of them have never played a musical instrument before. And then 1 week later, they're on stage performing a gig at like a really nice music venue in front of hundreds of people. It's a lot to take on, and they're so brave about it. And there is something to be said about just the nurturing environment and the support. And we all just believe so hard in their capabilities. And we also teach them, like, there's no perfection here. Like, it's okay if you mess up. Like, that makes you human. It makes you relatable. I mess up all the time when I'm playing, and I'm fine with it. Like, it's when I go to a concert, I saw Paul McCartney mess up Blackbird, okay, in concert. And it was like the highlight of my night. Like, I love the Beatles, but when he messed up Blackbird, I was like, he is a human just like me. You know, he's alive. He can mess up his own song that is like legendary. So it's nice to see that through.
I love that. I know you mentioned, you know, the Beatles were an influence on you growing up. I'm wondering if there were, you know, female identifying musicians that influenced you growing up as well.
Of course. I mean, I was an angsty teenager listening to Ani DeFranco in the 90s. But, you know, I also learned a lot about singing harmonies from listening to the Indigo Girls. That was a big one. And in fact, like, everybody at USY was listening to them back then. Like, we were all really into it. Tori Amos, Kate Bush, Annie Lennox. There's a long list of people. Carole King. She's like, you know, I could bow down to that woman. There's a lot of musicians that I guess influenced my playing at that time. But then, you know, I was listening to like a lot of hip hop and exploring other genres that also really played a role in just, you know, shaping my ideas about things. Listening to those lyrics, listening to those heartfelt lyrics, really so beautiful to connect in that way.
Awesome. So I think you had a little something you were gonna do either live or there was another video, maybe. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Like, you know what I've got up my sleeve.
Can we do a little of both?
We can do a little bit of both, sure. So I guess what I'll do first is I'll play another video for you. That is something that I did. When we did our rock camp, we did a virtual grand finale. So we invited all of our volunteers and campers to submit videos of them performing something that we ended up creating an online fundraiser. And so this was my contribution to that. I'm a total 80s baby and I love 80s music and I love the Pointer Sisters. So this was my
So does my husband.
In-home good. This was my in-home version of the song Automatic. So let's check it out. Oh, hold on. I got to put it on, don't I? Okay, give me 1 second.
This is Nosh Schmooze, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Look what you're doing to me, modeling at your whim, all of my defenses down. Your camera looks through me with its X-ray visions and all systems run aground. All I can manage to push from my lips is a stream of absurdities. Every word I intended to speak winds unlocked in the circuitry. No way to control it, it's totally automatic whenever you're around. I'm walking blindfolded, completely automatic. All of my systems are down, 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 down. Automatic, What is this madness that makes my motor run? My legs too weak to stand. I go from sadness to exhilaration like a robot at your command. My hands perspire and shake like a leaf. Up and down goes my temperature. I summon doctors to get some relief, but they tell me there is no cure. No way to control it, it's totally automatic whenever you're around. I'm walking blindfolded, completely automatic. All of my systems are down.
I'm just going to stop it right there so we have time to do
That
another
was
one.
awesome. I have that same Alf doll.
Yeah, see, I thought it contributed nicely to the whole 80s theme of that video. Awesome. Okay, so then I also was reminded that Tu Bishvat is right around the corner. And so I chose, of course, my original favorite band, the Beatles, a beautiful song that they composed called Mother Nature's Son, paying homage, of course, to Mother Nature and this beautiful holiday of planting trees. So I'll play just a little bit of that for you live on the piano here. Let me get this. I think that's better. All right. So I hope you can hear me. Born a poor young country boy, Mother Nature's son. All day long I'm singing songs for everyone. Sit beside a mountain stream, see her waters rise. Listen to the pretty sound of music as she flies. Do, 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 do,
Yay! Bravo.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Steph. Before we leave, I'm wondering if if you have a message of encouragement for some young girls or non-binary youth out there that are struggling right now. What would you say?
Well, I would say that, to really challenge yourself to push through, to remember that there's a lot of people that feel the same way you do. And I would say that those people are all out there and they would love to have a friend and someone to talk to. And they would love to know more about you because you have something beautiful and extraordinary to offer this world. And that you are valuable, you are important. And I hope that you can come pay a visit to us at Rock Camp. I should also mention that rock camps exist all over the world. This is a movement, and it's a feminist movement, really. It started in 2001 in Portland, Oregon, and they have rock camps. Anybody can start one. We happened to start the Miami one back in 2005, but there's rock camps in Africa, there's rock camps in South America, Norway, Iceland, Finland, Australia, Canada, all over the United States. I mean, it's just incredible how much this has grown and the numbers of people that we've pushed through this program in all these different places is hopefully creating a really beautiful, world connection of people that will continue to pay it forward in this way.
May it be so. And I have a feeling when my daughter turns 8, we're going to be seeing you a lot more.
I hope so. I hope so.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Steph. And anyone who wants to get involved in Miami Girls Rock Camp, please visit their website, call them, and